Okay, I think we are back and live. Get this all organised over here. Get this bigger. There we go. Okay, let's dive into it today. So today we're going to work on the dice mechanic. Let's do some organising in my computer. Cool. So let's. I just got a free asset off of the store. Interaction assets, meshes. We'll keep the dice block out here for the moment, but let's use this one instead. Import. I keep forgetting to. It's not auto computing the tangents. I should just delete both of these. We import this and say tangents, recompute tangents, and import animations can just stay ticked, but import materials, no, import. Why is this importing with no smooth tangents? Let's take this asset and then we'll just do mesh display, soften edges on all of them. File, export selection, my OneDrive, personal projects, Mario Higgs, assets, dice white. Yeah, and let's try re-import mesh. There we go. Save, assets, materials, die block out, material die white. Open this up ready. Assets, meshes, set this to die white. Save that. And then last but not least, go to our textures and we'll import those textures. I'm not actually sure what scale these textures are at, but I don't mind this asset being more realistic because that's kind of like the in-world thing is that, like, you know, you're playing this dice game, right? So the dice can be real-world objects, but then then all the assets in the world are actually like miniaturized or whatever. Normal, and then this is roughness, specular metallic, all good. We'll just leave that all as is for the moment. Great. So we've got our die. Let's first create interaction blueprints. Blueprint class actor BP underscore die. In here, let's create a simple static mesh, and we'll name this die mesh. And we'll set it to die white. I'll save. Let's just chuck it out in the world and see their scale, rough scale. BP die way too small. So let's firstly die mesh, scale it up like 5. Firstly lock, scale up 5. Save. I think I'll also, let's just quickly on this mesh check its collision. Because if we're going to do physics on it, not the material, the mesh. If we're going to do physics on it, we need to think about collision quite a bit. If we show simple collision, at the moment we've got this really nice clean box collision that is very performant, but I think if we want it to bounce around nicely, I think we should use complex collision. Let's just say use complex as simple, so that it bounces around a bit more nicely, which is not ideal for performance, but for the moment let's do that so it bounces nicely. We've got this nice curved die, it's going to bounce around, and do some stuff, hopefully. Let me see if I can position my fan so maybe there's less wind noise. I don't know if there's any lots of wind noise right now. Maybe that's better. But now it's not hitting me. That's the key thing. It needs to do this fan. Hopefully that's more manageable. Looks like it. We'll hide the microphone behind me. Perfect. Okay. So we need to say simulate physics, and then just see what happens for the moment. Try to simulate physics, but it's complex and simple. Okay, so I can't use complex and simple if I'm going to simulate physics. Okay, good to know. So let's go back to simple then. But let's regenerate this hull. Show simple collision. Let's make this. We can keep the hull count relatively low. Maybe like 12 hull. Hull precision max hull verts. Let's up that to 32. Apply. So this collision is quite nice. It's simple, but I want it to be slightly bigger so that you can see it bouncing better. So let's just turn off our thing and just scale it so it's just a tiny bit bigger than our actual mesh, like so. Save, re-tab that. Okay, so now we got a simulated dive that rolls around, but for some reason this one is still tiny. Why is that? I thought I set it to 5. Oh. Compile save. There we go. And then nav. Can ever affect navigation? No. Should be ignored. I think maybe a little bit big. Let's leave it as 5. I think 5 is good. Maybe 4. Compile save. So now when we play, because how big is that? That's like that size. So now when we enter a decision, if we click choose wisely, firstly I want to change this number because I have to change my mind. I think this number shouldn't be the odds, like 1 out of 6 or whatever. It should just say the required roll. So let's change that. So that's going to take some various fixes. So firstly, on our interaction blueprints, st choice no longer has an int2 vector. It's just an int. Save. And base odds is not going to be base odds, it's going to be required roll. Or should base odds be like a percentage? Required roll percentage. No, let's leave it as required roll. That's good. So now we're going to do some things in places where things are broken. So this st choice all seems good. File save. Interactables. This one is going to be broken. Right? No. Open interaction. This is all fine. This is fine. This is just passing through data, so it should be fine. And then widget blueprint choice is when we actually start doing things with that data. Calculate odds. So here we go. This is not working. So now it's just going to say maybe it shouldn't do either of these. It should just do like this. We remove in, and we say, I don't think we say anything. I think that gets tutorialized because I think it's going to get annoying if that's on the screen the entire time. So for the moment we won't have the odds. So now we go interact. Required roll is 0. That's because our interaction that we built here, our test interaction, our choices, as choose wisely, which is like, I don't know, this required roll, let's say we need a 3. So what will happen there is at least is that what I want? A required roll? Yeah, so 3, 4, or 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we say it's a 4, so it's 50-50. Required roll 4. 50-50 with 1 die. So let's get on with the stuff. So widget blueprint choice just sets the text. But what we do need to do in our event graph now is what happens when you press the button. On clicked button, we have to go back to... Do we have a reference to the parent? No. Let's create a interaction widget reference, which is a interaction widget blueprint interaction object reference, and this is instance editable expose on spawn, file save. So we're going to get this and we say if we're valid on this, we're going to do something. So file save, interaction, self, file save, and this is going to have an event which is going to be spawn custom event spawn dice. So file save, spawn dice. So this is going to have some inputs, which is going to be an integer of required roll. This is going to have... That's all I actually think I need from that one right now. So let's plug that through. So on calculate odds, we should also promote this to a variable. Promote to variable required roll. So when we calculate the odds, we set the required roll and set the text at the moment. At the moment, we don't have any way of editing these odds, but we will do in the future. So let's make it a thing, an exposed variable. And so we'll just use required roll. So spawn dice with the required roll. This spawn dice will then use that information to know how many dice to spawn and all that sort of stuff. Spawn dice is going to be spawn actor from class. It's going to be a... So we're going to do some calculations. So what we need to do first is, I think that anything that needs something more than a 5, so if you roll a die and you need a 5, that's fine with 1 die, you've got 2 chances, right? But as soon as it's requiring only 1 perfect roll, you need 2. So the math we need to do is, let's open up our mirror board and do it visually, because I'm not a brain person really. Actually, I was asking a friend about this earlier actually. So we can get rid of all this. Oh, a second, the door. Sorry about that, I'm back. Okay, so if we say, so simply if role required is less than 5, then it's just 1 die. So all we need to check is divide. If we take role required and divide it by 5, if this is greater, then this equals num dice. So if it's 10, role required divided by 5, 2 dice. If it's 11, we'll just round that down. So role required 5. This is less than or equal to rounded down, maybe, or rounded up. Rounded up, because if it's 4, so 4 divided by 5, that can be less than 1, so you've got to round up. And if it's 6, you need to round up. Yeah. So if we take required role and divide, or like a 2 float to float, divide by, let's make this a variable. Create variable min fair roll. Minimum fair roll, which will actually convert to an integer because it can never be a float. Integer, change variable type, do this. If we divide this by this, we get out a float, and we go round or floor. Round down towards negative infinity. No. Let's ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT, what UE5 node would I use to always round a float up? Seal float. So 1.1 becomes 2. Yeah, cool. Seal, and then do a for loop where first index is 1, last index is this. For each of them, we will spawn die, and yeah, that's fine. Spawn transform, we'll figure that out. So we'll get maybe get player character. Get player character. Cast to top down character. Convert to pure. And so as this one, we want to get camera. So we get our view camera, or maybe get view camera. No, that's not right. I want to basically check. For the moment, this is fine. Eventually, though, this will be a problem because get transform, get world location. We will make transform rotation 0, 0, scale 1, 1, 1. But what we'll do for the location is also get forward vector and multiply by a float. Let's say multiply by 10, and then add this to this. Is that right? Add that to that, or is there something else we want to do? Get forward vector. This is wrong, but we can start testing this already. So choose wisely. Die. We've only got one of them, so it's not spawning anything right now. That's not a great start. So the choice button, is it because it's not valid? Is that correct? Is that happening? No, it should be valid. Print string. Hello, Kara. Print string of try spawn die. Let's just see how far we get through our execution flow. So it's trying to spawn it. This die can go. But for some reason it's not spawning. BP die. Let's just make the spawn transform 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for the moment. So if we say we try and spawn die, what is the number we're getting for the spawning of the die? 0. So that's interesting. Why would it be 0? Because 4 divided by 5 would be like point something, and then you seal it to 1. 0.0. It's because I haven't set min fair roll to 5. There's always something stupid, isn't there? Always something stupid. Choose wisely. Cool. We are spawning our die. Beautiful stuff. Look at them go. Look at my dice go. Physics objects. What do we roll? Honestly, each of that is fun. Okay, I think we're actually this could be fun. So that's working, and the spawning is working. The transform now. Let's just make it for the moment just the world location of our camera. So now we're making them and they fall. So forward direction. This maths is definitely wrong. So get forward direction. Let's just see what happens when we do this. It's always just best to see what's going on. I think that's not working. 3 times by 100. Let's see where we're at now. Maybe that's actually getting better. 1,000. Huh. This is actually kind of working. Huh. Who would have thought it? So we somehow need to make them float in space there. And then, so the spawn die should also only, this actually should be called select choice. Select choice, that's all fine. And select choice needs to have a widget blueprint choice object reference, which is going to be query choice, and we're going to make a new variable which is going to be called selected choice, which is a widget blueprint choice, and this choice is going to say, do this equal this. So if the choice already is the selected choice, don't spawn any more die. If this equals this, true, do nothing, false, set selected choice as this. So now we should only be able to spawn one die at this point. So when we go and interact, why is that not doing anything? Because I haven't passed through the information. But then it should be... Oh, it's because none equals none, of course. Of course that's why. Why am I being stupid? Yeah, so I can only make one die now. Perfect. Now we need to make them float in space nicely in front of the camera and spawn a new button that says roll. So on our widget blueprint interaction, let's make our button first. So this horizontal box of choices should be wrapped with a vertical box. And this is going to just be a vertical box. And inside of here, we're going to make a new button. Let's actually just copy this button from in here. Choice button. So that for formatting, we should make a base button class right now to make our lives easier later on. Let's not do that. Roll button underscore roll, and we'll keep the size box. Delete this. We'll do replace with child. So this size box is going to just untick for the moment, and the choice name is going to say instead roll. And our size box, let's just make this nice. Roll should be centered. Make it a little bit smaller. Button roll should be above the choices. This vertical box should have its anchor at the bottom. Yeah. So, and by default, button roll should be hidden. And then when you start an interaction, if selected choice, at the point where you select a choice and do this, this is getting very messy. Messy. Maybe I should convert this to a function to make it less messy, but for the moment, let's just carry on as is. And just tidy up as we go. Get our button roll and set visibility to visible. So when there's a dice there to roll, it should be set visible. It shouldn't do any of that, that's fine. That's fine. Compile save. Something like that. A bit more readable. Set the visibility. Spawn our dice in a correct location. Choose wisely. Roll. But that's being filled. That's not right. So firstly on interaction, let's just get our roll and do center center. On our die, so on interactable blueprints, die, let's have the die mesh simulate physics off, Custom event roll. And this is going to have a thing which is going to have a interaction ref. It's going to be our widget blueprint interaction. And that's going to be parameter widget blueprint interaction object reference interaction. So the first thing we do is set our interaction to this. Then this one, set simulate physics to on, and then add force die mesh, and we'll just do up like 10, and let me just quickly check which way is forward in this world. Forward, it's going to be always that way forward. So let's just say 5, 0 for the moment, but we'll figure that out later. And then we'll just say a new variable which is rolling, and that's going to be a boolean. I'm going to set rolling to true, and at the point where hello Destiny, we're just trying to figure out a dice roll at the moment, so let's see how we're doing. So we've got our thing, we have a choose wisely. The required roll is a 4, so when we spawn it, there's one die, then we press roll. This die will then fling forward and move around. I haven't quite got the positioning of the dice correct yet. Be interested to see how we get that working. So our choice, interaction, okay. So firstly for this, let's promote a variable. We'll name this dice. We won't just set it, this will be a array, and we will do add unique, or no, just add, get this one, add unique, add this, and loop complete, nothing, select choice, then on button roll, on clicked, dice for each loop. For the moment we'll just roll all the dice at once. Eventually I want to have you rolling them one at a time. Why do my computers freeze? Probably because it's too freaking hot. And then we'll do a roll. And we'll get reference to self. File save. Let's see how we're doing. So if we interact with this, make our thing, roll. So our force did not get applied well, or if it did get applied, it was too small. So on our die, let's just first start getting a rough number. So if we just first split and then make literal float and plug into everything like 1000. Is that the right sort of number? Nope. Maybe it's happening too fast. So we simulate physics, delay. Nope. Add impulse. I think that's more what we want. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Let's try add impulse instead. Maybe that's the correct way to do it. Did it move very slightly there? 10,000. Okay, there we go, there we go, there we go. We're starting to get some movement. I'm not seeing enough movement. So let's delete this. delete this. Impulse was the correct thing to use. Let's split this struct pin and say, let's not do a delay for the moment, and say it's 30,000 up, and then the moment just like 100,000. 100,000? I feel like these numbers are too big. Is it, have I made the die way too heavy? So on its physics, enable gravity, sure. Mass. Maybe if we, let's leave his mass at 100 for the moment then, fine. But these numbers just seem quite big, you know? I feel like they shouldn't be this big. Choose wisely, roll. So that's starting to look better. But too much, so let's halve it. And then do like 20,000. So now we roll, and our dice gets rolled out. And at the moment it rolls off screen. So we've got to make ourselves our bounding box for the dice roll, which means that it will always end up in the screen. So it's kind of almost like a little bit of a funnel from off screen to on screen. So if we imagine we've got our camera like this, it'll be like a shape like, you know, like a big funnel. So it rolls, bam, 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 lands somewhere in the playable area. But we rolled a 1. Good job, team. We rolled a 1. Cool. But let's take this and random float in range minus 5,000 and plus 5,000, and just say that's the random one here, and then we will add that also to this one. So we get a little randomization on the dice. Oh, you can apply an impulse every time you press roll. I guess you need to make sure that we check if the dice is rolling, if it is. Okay. Well, firstly, let's see what happens if we take our test choice here and say its required roll is 6. Do we start getting 2 dice? That's the first thing we should test. Oh, we do. But they roll almost identically. So the roll is not very interesting right now. So we've got an impulse happening. That's great. Plus, minus. But why was that the same for both? Minus 10,000 or plus 10,000. And then we'll also add road add. We want to add like rotate, like, is it torque? Torque in degrees maybe? Add a radial force? Add angular impulse maybe? Maybe here we just split the struct spin and we just do a random float in range between 0 or minus 360 and 360. Minus 360 and 360. We just duplicate that for each of them so they are each different. And then we have our spinning. So it's always doing that, but it doesn't seem to be. Let's just see what happens if we only do the spinning. That doesn't seem to work at all. For the moment, let's make it back to one die. So 4. Save. If we say we take this number and multiply by a literal float, which we can make big. Let's make it 1000 to start with. Or should we just edit the weight of our die mesh? Is that what we need to fix? Is our mass just too big? If we make our mass 10, factor of 10 smaller, what happens now? Does it just go flying off screen? Gravity is the same, obviously, but this doesn't change jack shit. Does it fly off the screen in some crazy way now? Yes. So it definitely is doing the right thing, because these numbers are just too big in my mind. Let's make its weight 1. And get these numbers down to normal. 1, 2. Let's see what happens if we do this. Boop, boop. Too small now. So impulse X was about right. So 100 up. Let's do 200, and then minus 100 or plus 100 in those ones. Yeah, that's looking way better. We've got our 4. We rolled our number that we needed, so that's great. So now let's do our radial stuff. And we'll just duplicate this 3 times. And we'll convert this maths into a macro if we end up using it everywhere. Choose, roll. Yeah, this is nice. Now we've got some actual roll going on. Oh, 2. Roll. Okay, I'm actually really happy with how this feels already. I don't know if that's cringe that I'm happy with my own work so quickly, but I'm happy with that. I think that's really cool. Yay. So, next up, so firstly, let's take this and take this and just convert this to macro, which is calculate angular impulse. And we just hook this up. Oh, I wonder if my low battery message came through the stream. Is that a really nerdy thing to wonder? But I do wonder. Let's plug it in there. Plug my headset in. Okay, so we've now got the die kind of moving the way we want. We haven't figured out the wall, the bounding box yet, but let's keep just working on it at the moment. So next up, let's create the die spawning in a nice way. Because I don't think I like the no physics simulation. I think what we should actually do is create a world object from my thing. If we, so this was good, great. This can go now. If we create a world object, let's say like, so we have the camera here. And at the moment we're just spawning them here and they're falling like this. What we're doing right now is spawning them here, making them not move, and then flinging them this way, and then gravity, boom, 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 boom. What if instead we had an object here that was like just a static object that was attached to the camera, and we then on our, then we just attached with like physics constraints. So all the dice would be hanging off of this thing, like a sack of dice, and they just hang here. And then when it's ready to go, we cut one of the strings and apply the force. And then the next one, cut the string, apply the force. I think that's the best way to do it. So instead of doing this, on event begin play, we're going to create a custom event, which is attach update attachment, and then we'll create variable, which is no. I don't know if we want to do that this way. I don't know if that should be handled by this thing. So firstly, let's say it simulates physics by default. Compile save. And on our interaction, when we spawn our die, get die mesh, and do constraint. What's it called? UE5. What's it called when you attach to physics actors in Unreal? Physics constraint component. I want to attach a number of physics objects to a static location so they can't move away until I break the link. I love ChatGPT. It saves you so much Googling. So I think on our player character we should decide that. So if we go to our player character, on the camera, let's just create a static mesh sphere. We'll name this dice point. This means we can dial this in much better. And if we just pull it out and say I'll just say hidden in game true. Hidden in game. Where is it? Hidden in game true. And for the moment we just like put it like out here. File save. And we, rather than doing all this calculation for their location, we just get dice point and do some stuff. So for the moment, we'll unhook this and unhook this. It's transform, get world transform. Its transform will be this, and then we're going to add visit, add, no, let's do it on the dice. Add viz, add constraint. Oh, no, add visit physics constraint. Set constrain mode. None. What did ChatGPT say? Add physics constraint component at the static location. Let's just try add it here then. Add physics constraint. But I want to add one for each of the Huh. I don't know if I like this system. I think I'd rather do this not with physics, probably. And have it be like more of a magical thing. So if we're not going to do it this way, because it seems needlessly complicated what we're doing. So instead of doing this, what if we have just we just select a random point within this for the moment. Keep it simple for the moment. So let's just instead, on our interaction, get this, make a transform, break transform, add random vector in range, or maybe just split this and make some random float. No, random float in range. Minus 200, 200, minus 200, 200, minus 200, 200. Location, rotation. Again, we'll just split this and go like this. Minus 360, 360, and just do 3 of those. Now let's see what happens. And we'll go back to the die setting its physics back on like this. So we'll go back to this system of it turning on its physics. So now when we go here, that might be a bit big of a radius. So first thing we can do actually is, on our player character, move this even further. And then we can... I'm having a great day, thank you, George. It's frickin' hot, but we're moving. We're choosing, we're moving. So this minus 200, 100 seems too big. Let's do like minus 50, 50, minus 50, 50, minus 50, 50. Let's see how we're looking now. So our die is here and we roll. It seems like the force is being applied in local space. That's unfortunate. Or is it that this thing I made is now colliding with stuff? Yes, that will do it. No collision. No, no. Custom, nothing. Ignore everything. No collision, world static. Sure. Now, we shouldn't get that same issue, hopefully. You're from the UK as well? Yeah, I'm from the UK. It's sweltering today. But I've got my fan pointed directly at my back. And it's hopefully also blowing the hot air from my computer around the room a little bit so it doesn't overheat and die. I think I don't like the completely random rotation. If we just make it like minus 50, 50, minus 50, 50, minus 50, 50. Go to the pub in a bit. Oh, that sounds glorious. Do you know what I'm going to have in a minute, actually, thinking about it? I think I'm going to have my Lucozade, because I deserve it. Because right now you can see that the dice can roll off the screen like it just did there. That's something we definitely don't want to happen. We want the dice to always end up in this nice area here. So I have to create some kind of barrier for that to happen. But generally speaking, I think our dice rolling is getting okay. Oof, 3. So now I think we need to add the bit where the dice calculate. Actually, no, let's test multiple dice first. So if we make our required roll 6, so it spawns 2 dice, how do we look? We've got 2 dice, and it rolls both at the same time at the moment. And we passed our 6 roll. Yeah. So maybe we should make our calculation first. So BP die, for the moment, let's make it figure out. Once it's moving, we'll do a tick event that or maybe we'll do a timer. Timer by set time by event. With my family, I'm only 11. That's fair enough. At least, hopefully, you'll get some nice food, sit out in the sun, have a great time. Custom event. Check, die, stopped. So we need next thing we need to do is to check what number the dice has actually rolled. We need to find out when it's finished rolling. Days off school, too hot. That is nice. Oh, I love days off school. Should loop. Let's do every 0.5 of a second. Oh, free day off school. That's great. And I think that, like, the classic days were like too hot, too snowy. I think too hot's better than too snowy, honestly. So let's get the get velocity. How hot is it for me? Let's check. Right now we are at 33 degrees. Let's check my indoor thermostat as well. Let's check my thermostat. Inside we're not doing too bad. We're doing 31 inside, so life's good. Let's for the moment just print string on this and check what our velocity is. Pakistan. Yeah, I mean, Europe is just crazy right now with the heat. Global warming is not a good thing. Let's go back to 1 die, so it's simpler. So what we're developing is like a narrative choice game where you go through this medieval village making silly choices, and the choices are determined by a dice roll. So let's say that this cube is something I'm interacting with. I've got a choice here to choose wisely, which has a required roll of 4. And so it spawns a die, and then when I press roll, it rolls that die. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out a code for determining when the die has stopped moving. But this get velocity didn't do anything. Get velocity. Get physics angular velocity. Get speed. No. Velocity. I mean, let's see what this does. Let's see what this gives us. It's kind of it's more whimsical. If you ever played like Fable, it's more that vibe story-wise. So, for example, if we look at my Miro board, you can, let's say, you can buy the oil from the merchant and then burn the church down, which makes the witches like you, so you buy their spell book, and then you can then kill the bandits with the spell book. It's kind of choices and having odds to do stuff. It's just a silly kind of story game, but it's not like the Witcher in terms of like being a third person thing. It's more of it's a top down movement experience. It's very simple. It's all click to move, click to interact. You can play the whole game with one hand. So let's see what we're doing here. Okay, well the problem is I couldn't see that one because it rolled off the screen, so that's really unhelpful. So if we roll, please roll onto the screen. No. Okay. So it does get down to 0. Thanks for subscribing, George. Hopefully you'll see the progress and development as I do it. It does get down to 0. So this method does work, but is it too slow? Because here, it stops there. So for the moment, let's just say when it reaches 0, get length maybe, vector length, and we just let's for the moment keep the print string, and what we'd say is branch when this is less than or equal to 5. True, we will call event custom event finish roll. So true finish roll, and finish roll will take our interaction ref and do something, but I haven't figured that out yet. So let's go back to here. So we do this, does its thing, rolls around, rolls behind something, which has to be a consideration. So the first thing it should do is finish roll should cancel timer or remote variable, which is going to be die move timer, and then we'll get our die move timer and stop or cancel stop end. How do you stop a timer? And we can also add initial time delay of like 2 seconds because it's never going to finish within 2 seconds. That's not the important thing. How do we stop a timer? Let's ask ChatGPT. How do you stop an Unreal timer? Invalidate. See, this is what I mean. Invalidate timer. Clear invalidate timer. Handle. Bam. Bam. That should stop the timer. It doesn't loop through its thing anymore. We'll probably have like an animation for the dice disappearing. But the key thing we need to do is figure out our what do you call it? The calculation for actually which way up are we. So if we get, let's tell this. If we get our die and our forward vector is going to be 4. So on our mesh, right? The actual specific mesh, yeah. So forward vector is 4. So if we get our die mesh and get forward vector, and then get so we've got what's the math going to be? What's the maths going to be? If we've got our die like this, and 4 is up, then if the forward vector matches the world Z, let's just try print string. So forward vector, let's not print this out anymore. Let's remove some print strings to clean things up. Where else did I have a print string happening a bunch? I had somewhere having a print string a bunch on an event tick somewhere. Interactable object maybe? Not on the die, on my character maybe? Interaction. Oh yeah, rotate character doesn't need to happen anymore. It was on the controller. I'll save. If we go to this thing, go to our controller, our event tick does no longer need this found actor, trying to find actor stuff, because this is kind of working. We can put them in later. Actually, let's leave them in there for the moment, just unhooked. Like this. Compile, save. So now, if we go interact, roll, it's going to stop, and our up vector, forward vector is y, which is 2, which says something. Let's, on our die, create a new thing to use as our forward vector. So on our die mesh, add arrow, and have this one pointing straight up. So this is our forward vector, and on here we'll get our arrow, get forward vector, and we've got to figure out like, or maybe get rotation, get world rotation. For the moment, let's on begin play. Let's do some print strings just to figure out the best way to do this. Begin play. Actually, let's do it on a construction script. Then we can actually check this out as we go. So if we got arrow and we do a print string of its get forward vector, I'll save. We take our die, we rotate it. Forward vector is Z1. Okay. That should be working then. Here. -1. So we need to figure out, or do we actually want the world rotation? And then we figure out a dot product of that between world rotation, get world rotation. Let's instead print that out. Why is our messages so small? Really annoying. I have to like lean into my screen to see it. There is 90. So if we get if we use the die mesh instead, get world rotation, and we go to here and we say 0. Why is this not printing anything out now? Die mesh, get world rotation, print string. I'll say this is no longer printing a string. Does it not have a world rotation? Why would it not have a world rotation? That makes no sense. It should have a world rotation. If I rotate like this, it doesn't. No, that's not working either. Die mesh, get world rotation. Maybe forward vector? It's not doing anything. What if we just print string hello? Did I accidentally disable all screen messages? I think I accidentally disabled UE5. How to re-enable screen messages. Enable screen messages. And now when I rotate this, why is it not working? Why is this not doing anything? Am I crazy? This should be doing things. Why is this now not printing any strings? This is the weirdest issue I've ever had, which is just... how do I change screen message font size? That's what I need to do. Okay, annoying. How a actor is no longer showing screen messages in editor on construction script. Why? So we enable all screen messages. Why is it just suddenly stopped? That's happening. Output log. Clear all. Is this okay? So this is doing it. It's just not showing up on the screen for some reason. It's in the log, and I've used the enable all function. Okay, we'll just have to use this frickin' thing then. What was I doing? Die. Get forward vector of the dice mesh. If we revert its thing back to 0, 0, 0, its forward vector is 1. What if we get the forward vector arrow now? So Z is up, which is 0, so that is correct. So when it's 1, there's going to be some complex math, I can tell you. So the forward vector of this arrow, how to compare the forward vector of an actor to the world up. Yeah, dot product. But is dot product... if we say just dot product between world up and that, we print this out. So here, the dot product is 1. This is just how far away that is. Oh wait, no, it's not just how far away that is, because we've got a positive and minus that. So if we say that's, we've got two floats, because we need to also then do the dot product against y or z, y or x even. 1, 0. We'll do a quick append. So we've now got two coordinates, which is going to be our comparison vector, which is basically, I think the screen is ticked. I don't know why it's not coming on my screen, but whatever. So if we just change this to 90 real quick, this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. We have to create some ranges. Let's change this to 45. We clear the log. We say 45 is 0.7, then 0, minus 0.7, but then is this side also minus 0.7? Yes. So the difference between... No, we need the rotation. We need to use the rotation. I don't think the dot product between the forward vector and up is going to be enough. What if we just get the rotation? World. Get world rotation. What if we just print this? And we do clear log. And if we set our arrow, and let's get world rotation, and then let's split split, because when it's pointed directly up, details, but it's 90 in that one, so I want it to be 0, 0, 0 when it's like this. So subtract 90 and then make rotator and if we go to our die again, I don't know the best way to do this system. This is going to be an interesting bit of maths. Because right now, we've got some issues. I think dot product is the only way to do it, because the number's too inconsistent here. Because right now it's minus 90, 90. If I rotate it a tiny bit, everything fucking changes. Yeah. What you figure out is a set of numbers that are the unique IDs for those things. What I could also do is create a little point on each of these, middle of each of these faces, and say whichever of those points is the highest is the up face. That might just be a simple way to do it. Instead of arrow here, if we just add actor for empty defaults, no. Well, it's a scene component. We do 1. And then duplicate, just 2. And we bring this one all the way down to -10. And then we duplicate this one, 3. We go back to 0, 0, 0. We do -10. Duplicate. 4. Like that. Duplicate. 5. -40. +40. Duplicate. -80. All these. See, blueprint itself is not a scene component there. Ah, because I deleted the arrow. That's fine. So we're no longer getting the world rotation of any of this stuff. All we're going to do is all of these in a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4. Make array. I'm already not liking this code, but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For each loop, print string. That'll be on the end. For each loop, get world location and split z is greater than or equal to. No, just greater than. If z is greater than, let's clap this to a function. Collapse to function. Find roll result. And we'll promote this to a local variable, which is highest point. And we'll just start. We'll default this out to -1 million. Branch true, set highest point, set, and then we'll promote this to a variable, to local variable, which is highest value, no, highest location, highest point. And we will set highest point to array index +1. And we'll set highest point to whatever this is. And on completed of going through these things, we will print string and add an exit node. So output value, which will be an integer. We'll print the integer and we will output it. And we'll default this to -1. So now what we'll do is on our event graph construction script, we have got this coming in. So now let's clear log we rotate this, it's 1. Oh, I hate the multi-rotate tool. So 1 is still there. 4, 1, 3, 2. So it doesn't work perfectly on an exact angle. So what we should probably also do is check, are two values too similar to each other? If they are, then add another impulse. But for the moment, this system will work fine. Great. So don't need this right now, don't need this right now. So in our find roll result, we can take out our print string. And on here, interaction ref, in play is not needed. We can do our check find roll result and then output this to our interaction reference, which is going to be we're going to have a new thing, which is going to be an integer, not an array. It's going to be final roll, or let's name this added roll. And then we can need an event, or maybe just a function, which is add to roll. It's going to have an input of an integer, and then added roll. The added roll is set to this. And we go. Let's rename this, not added roll. Roll to add this plus added roll, set added roll. And our die, when it finishes, will add to roll, roll to add, and this one will also then print string total roll. So let's go here, interact, roll, and see when it finishes rolling. 2. Roll again. 3, because it's 2 plus 1. I roll again. 6. System working. Happy days. Roll again. 7. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Okay, let's have a celebratory Lucozade. Celebratory Lucozade. So now let's check that this works with multiple die. So on our test interaction, let's say the required roll is 6. Save, play, interact, roll both our die, FA out so we can actually see the result. So it returned as 2. We roll again. 8, 13. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. That's working as expected. Ten was my roll I got. Is that also a 5? Yeah. For the moment, let's get rid of this BS tree thing that I was testing. Later on, I'll figure out a system of fading objects that are in front of stuff in the way. Oh, can't do that in play, of course. So if we save everything. So the roll button needs improving. This is working. So at the moment, we need to figure out how to improve our roll button. So firstly, I want to see on the roll button, I want to have text that says how many die I have. I also think I can improve the location. Minus 100, 100, minus 100, 100, minus 100, 100. I'll save. And on the die, what I want to do for the die, I was going to do something in a second. Oh yeah, on the character, on the camera, the dice point. Let's move this down like this. Not that far, I guess. I guess it needs to be way close to the ground. This. Where are my dice? Where are my dice at? Got something wrong here? Let's put it back to in the center of the screen. This is pretty good. I can make it further down. That's fine, but I think I need to move it up a bit. And then if I change it so x is like minus 20 plus 20 minus 300 300, then it's more like a long shape. So you can have dice all roll up here. And the x velocity needs to be higher on the die when it gets the impulse added. So on the roll, so the impulse, firstly the impulse x and y should be separate things. And let's do a multiply rather than add. I'll multiply by 5. No, this is not. That's not what we want to do at all. Let's make this like 300. And 100 minus 100. And make it 400 up. Actually give us a bit more of a dynamic looking die. Yeah. Cool. That's looking better. I don't know, we're making a game, Onslow. We're working on Unreal, and what we're trying to do right now is create a top-down adventure game where you make choices based on dice. So if I make this choice, I require a roll of 6. I have 2 dice. We roll it, and then the dice go down and bounce around the world. It'll look funny, and then they end up with a... Oh, this is going to be an interesting situation. Do I want this? This is what I wanted to solve. So if it gets to a point... Okay, let's make that system now then. So at the point at which it thinks it stopped moving and tries to finish roll, it should also check... because the moment it just checks which side is most up. But finish roll. So find roll result. Find roll result should probably also check, is the highest location nearly equal to something else? Hello, the Wuxel. So if the... Yeah, I'm good. I'm just hot, but I've given myself a real treat of a Jude Bellingham Lucozade Sport. And it's refreshing my brain and my spirit for another hour or hour and a half of development time before I have to head off. It was a joke. What are you on about? You didn't say anything. So, yeah, love Lucozade. Especially in summer, especially after gym. It's just like the best thing in the world. So we need to do another more complex evaluation at this point, which when it finishes moving, it should also check is I'm working on a dice rolling system for my game, and I want to make a thing that, like, you know when dice can land, like, if I grab the die, if I have this dice and it's like this, if it lands like this, you know, it's definitely a 1. But I've had it happen where it lands like this. And in this situation, I don't know what it should be, you know? The game doesn't know what it should be, it just kind of gets confused. At the moment, it just guesses between 1 and 4. So it's not that bad, it's just a 50-50 1 and 4. But what I'd rather it did was did that, and if it lands like this, and it's like, oh, I'm stuck, it kind of makes itself roll a little bit randomly, which means it'll land somewhere different. So what I need to do right now is create a function to evaluate, are we on that annoying diagonal, or have we landed nicely? So that's what we need to do. So basically what needs to happen is, if the highest location is not greater than that, but it is, this is nearly equal to highest location within a tolerance of, let's say, I don't know, let's make it a nice decent sized tolerance for the moment, like 100. So it's pretty much always going to come back true. Let's make a new local variable, which is unsure, and we'll set it to unsure true, and on this output we'll add a new one which is unsure. Okay, let's not make this a variable then. Unsure. Let's not use this. Delete this. Yeah, delete. And make this a boolean. of unsure. True set unsure. Right to local variable. No, not variable. Promote to local variable, and we'll name it nearly equal. And we'll, if this is true, set nearly equal, and nearly equal defaults false. So so now what we'll do is on our finish roll, we'll find our result before we actually decide to finish it, and branch. If we're unsure, print string. We'll just print string unsure at the moment, and we'll do a little append. And we'll say unsure. Great. So that's all we'll do for the moment, and then we will finish roll. But we won't actually do the proper roll stuff. So let's see what happens at the moment. So if we roll our dice, neither of them should be unsure. So unsure, false, false. Okay. That's not ideal actually, because I thought I'd made the value big enough that it was going to be true. So finish roll. The highest location. Let's make this 1,000. I want to make sure that the true works before I start making the value small enough to be a good check. Roll. Unsure, false, false. That is weird. So for the moment, let's print string this. Let's see if this is even happening. Let's see if that's happening first. Then we can start figuring out the stuff, I guess. If you think I look like Ollie Behrman, that is a serious... I don't know. That is just cruel to him, I think. So if we roll again... True, unsure, false, false. It's all true, but unsure is coming back false. Why is unsure coming back? Oh, because I didn't tick that, because I'm a frickin' idiot. Oh, yeah. No wonder it didn't work. But if I'm Ollie Behrman just because I'm English, then that's fine. So they're both unsure. And then if we say nearly equal 100, factor of 10 smaller, is this going to be... unsure, true, true? They're still too close. I look more like Lewis. Crazy. Oh no, I don't see colour. I don't see colour. So if we just check this for a moment, so they're true, true. So if we go on here and say number 2, Z is, let's just for the moment then, for each of these, print string of an append. Space dash, highest location, and this. So if we can print both of these strings out, just for the moment, so we can see what are we getting. We've got... Oh, I didn't see. 40, 80. Okay. So if we change this to like 10, then it should be working pretty well. Is this going to be F1 2027? Yes, I am solo developing F1 2027. I'm going to compete with EA, and it's going to be so good that the F1 won't even copyright infringe me because it's just such a good game. It's just so incredibly good. They're like, you know what? He deserves the money. Here you go. So 4-2. Unsure true, unsure false. That's a weird one. If we roll again. Is it because I'm not resetting the location or something? What is going on there? Why is this happening? So, find roll result. If the error tolerance is 15, why are 2 of them ever coming back? Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, game develop. I mean, assuming if that's not sarcasm, then you're crazy. Although I'm very happy with my dice rolling. But you know, this is a lot of game development. It's doing boring shit and trying to make it fun. Okay, let's make it go back to 1 die because this is getting confusing with 2. So if we just say 4. So we roll our 1 die. Why did it even call it? Because it shouldn't... Oh no, it should be calling it now at that point. Red Dead Redemption 2? Yeah. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 should go sit down and get off its high horses. It's no game made by me, you know? So let's say if this is less than 5, check the roll result, and it should print out near equal, set to false. And that's for all of them. For false and true, let's just print out their differences. So we can see it calculating its stuff. We roll. It's got 41, 41, 141, 41, 81, 41, 81. And it's coming back as unsure true. It shouldn't be unsure. They should be... So... Our highest point... Do we have an issue of something happening too soon? $41.80, 40.81. Unsure false. Why is that happening like that then? That's an interesting conundrum. Why is that happening like that? We roll it again. It lands. Unsure is false. But it only checked 3 things that time. Roll again. Unsure false. It's got 5 points. Ah. 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 So what I'm trying to calculate right now, let's see if talking through it helps me, is I'm trying to check. So the way it works is the die has an idea of where all of its faces are, and all it does right now is check which of these points is highest. So if you imagine the dice is rolling around, it just goes, which one is the highest point? So what I'm trying to check is if it's on an angle, the 2 points will be nearly the same height. And in that situation, it should re-roll so that it lands more flat. But right now, it's calling back that it's nearly equal to itself. When it shouldn't. So find roll result. So it comes through, it's got its 5 points to check, or 6 points to check. And it checks, is this world location Z greater than the highest point? If it is, set it as the highest location and say what the highest point should be. It comes through and goes, this is not the highest point. Okay. Does there need to be a second set of checks? Because I guess what's happening is there's some weird situation where like it's cycling through the points, finding the highest one late on, but then there is something that is nearly equal to it but just slightly lower. No, that shouldn't be happening. So I roll. It says nearly equal true. So 40, 41. What I should also do is, that's what I should do. I should also add to this print string the yeah, sure, Hayden. If I say this plus 1, and this plus 1. This is now going to also tell me, no, the highest location, highest point, that should be. This should also hopefully tell me which points it's comparing, which might be useful information for me to figure out. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, scared the crap out of me. Thanks to subscribe, whoever that was. That was so loud. So it checked 3 against 2, 4 against 2, 5 against 2, 6 against 2. Thanks for something, Hayden. Great. And 2 was the highest. But if we get a situation where, yeah, I need to turn that down. That honestly almost gave me a heart attack. Holy moly. Firstly, what's this print string it's doing? It's doing an extra print string when it shouldn't. Interaction. Print string. String. Unsure is useful. This is useful. But if we unhook this for a second. It's not printing anything. So why if I hook this up, does it sometimes print? Because find roll result should only happen on this. At the moment, it's happening too soon. Yeah, it's done it here. So, roll. Why is that happening like that? Initial start delay. Maybe it's just add a manual delay here. Delay 2 seconds, make it back to 0. So it only starts checking after 2 seconds. But it's still doing the print. Why is it doing the print? Making that. If I unhook this, does it no longer do it? There's no other print strings in here, right? Oh no, it's still doing it even if I do that. So, why? Tell me for why. Why? Why is this printing something? Something in here? No. Event graph? I'll save. Find roll result. My class member. Oh, it's on construction script. That's why. Ugh, stupido. I don't like being stupid sometimes, but sometimes I am. Okay. So 6. It thinks it's unsure. It thinks it's unsure now, but it shouldn't think it's unsure. Why does it think it's unsure? Because there's 51. So we've got 1, 41, 41. So there are 2 things that are near to each other. Why is the top one not 80? This should be 80. Of course, because at that point, the highest point, right. So we do need to do another check. So what we need to do, instead of this, and all of this crap, what we need to do instead is take all this and this. Why is the diner font? You know what? I don't even know. Still do this branch. All this stuff we're going to take over here. We're going to take this for each loop. Oh yeah, not. And off of it, we're going to do this again. And we're going to check, is this thing's, so on complete we will do this. This index can get plugged into here. So firstly, is index plus 1, okay, we're print strings at the moment. Is index plus 1 equal to the highest point, branch? No. In which case, is the object's world location Z greater than the highest point? I don't know that. I don't know that. This is not important. Is this nearly equal by, let's say, a factor of 5 to, so if it's not equal, it's not equal to the highest points index, and it's nearly equal, plus minus 5, in which case do that. So now we should never get a false positive. So we should roll and see not nearly equal. Roll again, 5, not nearly equal. Roll again, 6, not nearly equal. Hello, Trobio. And we roll again, 4, not nearly equal. I'm very good. I just fixed my problem, which is making me happy. It does involve using a second for each loop, which I don't love. It's not great programming. But right now, let's get it working. We can figure out how to make this neater later on. Don't need this up here. So we do a first initial for each loop to check which of these is the highest point, and then another quick for each loop to see are any of them nearly equal to the highest point. I guess actually these should be two separate functions, because once we know we're safe, no, we need to know both. Not really. So what we need to do now is not do a thing, do a branch. Are you unsure? No. Finish the roll then. When you finish the roll, find your roll result and add to roll. If you are unsure, let's then collapse this to a function. Collapse to function, which is add dice impulse. And then we're going to do a forward question mark and do a quick select node based on forward. So if you're going to go forward, you should add 300. If not, add 0. And everything else can stay the same. So now, when we add our impulse with forward, and then if we are not sure about our location, we're going to add impulse not forward, just up. So hopefully now, I mean, it's quite hard to figure out, to make it land on its edge. I did have it happen once. This is annoying. Roll. Come on, land on your edge. Land on your edge. I believe in you. I think it's never going to happen, is it? It's too hard to happen. Oh, no. What if we create lots of little diagonal valleys? So if we take this and make it like scale 1 by 1, not locked, 1 by 1 by 1. Revert everything. Why has 1 by 1 by, oh, revert to, oh, shh. Okay, fine. Fine. You want to be annoying? You can be annoying then. So if we instead create a bunch of diagonal valleys for this to land in, if we rotate this 45 degrees, and then so that's like that, and then we duplicate it. Is this game as big as GTA 6? In my heart, it's much bigger. In my brain, absolutely not. So this horrible shape should hopefully confirm that we get to test that our dice lands. Oh, that looks really freaky actually on the orthographic view. So let's go interact with this thing. We'll roll our dice. Roll it again. Roll it again. Roll it again. That didn't work. Let's just try again. Let's just keep trying until we get it to spawn. Spawn on the side. There we go. Okay, land in this crevice. And you landed perfectly. I hate you. Oh, here we go. Did it happen? See here, it should be like, oh, these two are too similar. So therefore, okay, let's put our print strings back in. So in here, nearly equal true, output nearly equal true. So let's go print string sure unsure. I'll say play. Roll dice. Oh no. Play. Go here. Roll dice. Come on. Aye. Let's create another one, I guess. This is going to break everything in the level, but at this point we don't really care if it breaks everything in the level. We'll take this and I'll play a start. Wallace and Gromit. I mean, I wouldn't mind breaking the Wallace and Gromit. Is there no... Ay. Okay. Let's bring this in as close as we can get it. And this in as close as we can get it. Oh, there's still a strip for us to get to our interaction point. Go on, get to it. Ay. This is nightmare fuel. Let's move this out very slightly. Play. Why? Start the player here. Interact. Choose wisely. Roll. So this is saying, oh, it did it. It did it. It did it once. Unsure false. Okay, so let's append unsure false, and then we'll add another append print string to here, which is roll this. I don't think that the environments will be this horrific for the dice. Play. Roll. So here, that's probably an unsure, right? Unsure, false, roll 5. I guess the 5 is kind of more up. but it's pretty tight. So if we went to our unsure find roll result and said instead our tolerance is 10, compile save, how would that feel? Choose wisely, roll. So here it rolls and that's a safe location. Yeah, that's all fine. I need to make it spawn off to the side though. Roll, okay, no. Bounce to, okay, this is good. Oh yeah, oh yeah. 3, perfect. Make it roll again, it's wrong. It rolls again, until it gets to a safe point and it goes, yep, I'm a 6. Ha ha ha. Functioning gameplay. Is it physically accurate to how dice function? No. Do I prefer this to a physically accurate dice functioning? Yes. Great. Okay. I can delete all this crap now. Let's start. Just drag it back a little bit. Bring it down. So now we can interact. Roll our dice. It's a 6. Now what we need to do is firstly not allow people to spam the roll button and send their dice flying like that. Have the dice roll one at a time and then actually calculate the end result of like this dice roll that I just did. It's finished now, and have I successfully completed the dice roll, passed the check, or have I failed? And then probably end interaction. And then the base interaction system is done then, which is really exciting. The main system of how you play the game will be done. Well, the base version of the main system will be done. So let's work on those features. Okay, the die is fine for the moment. We'll leave the print strings in at the moment because they're quite useful to know what it thinks is happening. Actually, let's take them out for a moment. Take out. What we need to do is add to roll should do something, but also the die, when it finishes its roll and add the roll, it should also set its rolling, set rolling, false. That should be reset. And then also probably set enable physics. Let's make physics off. Because what I don't want to happen is another die come along and hit it and make things change. Because I want the die to roll one at a time, but once one's down, I think it should be set in stone, just for code simplicity's sake. Or is it more fun to have you be able to hit your die with the die? Like, if you roll the first one and it's like a 1, you're like, oh shit, I need to try and angle my next one. Oh, that's... I think that starts getting too complicated. I don't think that's fun for a player. I think once a die is landed and it's decided what it is, it should be like set in stone, you know? Okay, so let's think about our design options. So right now, the planned design option was... let's just use a sticky note as our die. So if you have a die and it lands, so let's say you have 3 dice, let's do 2 dice, 2 dice on your screen, and you click roll, the first one comes out and it rolls around and it lands and it says, I'm a 2. And then you press the roll button again, this one rolls out, lands, and says I'm a 3. So your total is 5. What the question is, if you're rolling them one at a time, is this one roll out, land, and say, I'm a 2. Can you roll this one out, hit it, move this one, and then it changes to a 5. This one then lands over here and says, I'm a 1. Then you've got 6. Or is once this one's landed and says I'm a 2, does it like set in stone? So that I'm now locked, so this one bounces off it and doesn't ever change it. So this one rolling around, question mark, rolling around, dung, 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 dung. This can never be changed off a 2. And it goes, and it says I'm a 5, so therefore you got 7. And then once this one stops moving, it sets in stone and stops. This way, with the setting in stone, is much easier to program, probably. Not probably, definitely easier to program. But I cannot wholeheartedly say I think it's more fun. So I think we have to, but I think if that's a tactic, because also we have to consider the fact that at the moment, when it's a question mark, and it's a question mark, and they're here, you just press the roll button, which sends it off randomly. I think if you have the ability to collide them and everything, you should be swiping, or picking up and dropping, or doing something so you can be tactical about it. I think that I should just make it the roll of the dice and have them set in stone, for the moment at least. And if I decide to change that design decision later, I can, but I think for the moment, let's have them be set in stone. So let's get the die mesh and say set simulate physics off. Rolling not, and do that, yeah. So add to roll now. It adds to the roll. What we also need to do is create an idea of, so these, roll them. This, let's just collapse these nodes. Collapse nodes and name them position die. Make this all a bit simpler. You then roll them. And what we're going to do is, at the point of which they get added to a roll, we find our dice and I guess die here also needs a variable which is rolled, and this gets set to true here. And compile save, and we just do a quick check on our interaction, which is a for each loop with break. Get rolled branch. If any of them have not been rolled, cancel and do nothing. Local variable. So we'll name this one finished rolling dice. And this should be set to true. But if any of them are false, this gets set to false. Carries on. And what this is doing is basically checking. Let's go through all my dice. If any of them aren't rolled yet, stop checking and just carry on. If they all have been rolled, which is this branch, so false do nothing. If they all have been finished rolling, create a new function maybe, which is finish dice roll. Add to roll, finish dice roll. And so this is going to take this. So So this is not needed anymore. What we do need to do is when you press roll, we need to also for each of the dice branch rolled, false, roll, rolled, rolling, or. So if a dice is rolled or rolling, do nothing. If it's not, roll it. And that's that. So now we can only roll dice once, so you can't spam it anymore. Yeah, I like that. It lands, and then it'll finish the roll. But if I create this interaction with, let's say, 20 being our max roll that we need, now we've got loads of dice. Roll. But it's... okay, that's why. Interaction true, false, and we'll do for each loop with break. Loop body, loop item, delete this, and break. So it only rolls one of the dice each time you press it. I think this will just feel better for a player, being able to roll them individually. And it also means that if they're in a super tense moment, they can choose to do like a roll 1, roll 2, roll 3, roll 4. I really need to create the bounds of the roll. That needs to be something that gets done ASAP. How am I going to do that? That seems like quite a complicated system. I think I should do that now though, because I think if I don't have that, it becomes almost impossible to test this reliably, because there's always going to be something that rolls off the fucking screen. Or maybe, for testing purposes, I just make the room much smaller, and we can deal with that stuff later on. And we just scale these up and bring them down to floor level. Play. Now roll. This is cool. So 6, 6, 4, 1. That's not double sixes. It's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. There needs to be also a methodology like locking your choice, locking your roll in, displaying how many more you have to roll. Yeah, there's various things that need to be done. So this one actually can come all the way up here. This one actually needs to come up a little bit more. This one out, out. So, yeah, that's a great start. Okay. Blue navigation, why is the blue navigation? It's blue navigation because the dice are rolling around making stuff on the floor. Okay. So finish dice roll now needs to actually let's do a print string of selected choice get choice data and break choice data, get the required role, and say is, or let's do required, get required role, because actually this choice data is the base required role. It hasn't taken the calculation of the odds yet in. So we get our added role. We say this equals, well, added role is greater or equal to the required role. And we're going to do a little print append. And we'll get the selected choice and get title. Choice title is true or false. Let's see if it actually happens after we roll all our dice. Choose wisely false. Has it actually failed? Let's see. 6, 10, 14. Okay, it hasn't worked. So if we make this choice back to a, let's say 1, 2, 4. Roll 5. Choose wisely. True. Great. So we've got that. Okay. It's 4 PM. I'm going to pee first. That's what I need to do. I need to pee. Right then, with my empty bladder, I'm able to think. So let's just work through this bit by bit. The interaction finish roll. We should print out what the result was, and it should take all the dice, and for each loop, destroy actor, and it should also it should get calling actor, it should this should actually be a function, brackets, collapse function, end interaction. It should have some variables on it, which is just like finished, choice selected, successful. This is not successful, has no choice selected, and it's finished. True? Oh no, it's not finished. When you finish a dice roll and the interaction ends, end interaction, it is finished, and selected choice, get choice data. This is the selected choice, and it was successful. And the target of end interaction, no, not be player interact, end interaction, end interaction is widget interactable. Finished, yep. No, don't crash. Stop. Choice data, successful or not successful. Successful. I'll save. So also we need to go to our designer, roll, inside its size box, wrap with a horizontal box. This horizontal box will fill it, and we will duplicate this, and we'll name this not choice name. Choice name is not even right. This is also text roll, and this one is text roll count. And let's default it to 0. So at the point of spawning our dice, we will get length of this completed, or no, required roll ceiling, we will say roll text roll count, set text to this. And then each time we roll, we'll need to set this text to something else. So add to roll should then also figure out, so if it hasn't finished rolling the dice, create a new local variable, which is rolls used, and we will add or increment. Wait, should this be on add to roll, or is this finished dice roll? No, add to roll. Where do we check if rolling or rolled? It should happen here, not in add to roll. This should not be here. This should not be in here. What we should do here is get the index, at which point it rolls, get the index of that. So length minus index equals this here. So we'll set that text to this, go through here. So now we can roll, didn't set it to 0. Minus index add 1, because the roll 0, yeah, that makes sense. Die, doing choice in the interaction, save. Let's reorganize this because this is ugly as hell. This, be straight into that. This can get out of the way. This can move all the way back here. This just comes below here. I don't like that this is all exposed like in the functions, which kind of should be an automatic thing like update function or something. I don't know, but at the moment I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm just going to make it work at the moment, and I'll think about how to make it pretty and nice later. Let's check that this works when I have multiple dice. Dice roll completed. Choose wisely false. Okay. But I said that the limit is 4. So on interaction, position die, seal. This for this one, make it look a bit prettier. Great. Generic functions is all good. Interactive object is all good. We've got to make the interactive object do something when it finishes. Which definitely needs to be figured out. Finish dice roll, do that, do that, roll, yeah, interaction, do that, do that. Okay, let's check on this choice. If we make it have, let's say, 20 again for the options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 dice, 3, 2, 1, go. False. I think we need some better visual feedback, like failed or succeeded, but for the moment this is fine. We also haven't given the idea of choices being done or not done, or all those sort of things. Like, there's a lot more to do to this system, even in the most base form. I still don't like how they can overlap when you spawn them. I also don't like how the odds are so bad. Should we change this whole system, thinking about it now, to a percentage system? So if I say I want a 50% chance with 3 dice, it does one thing. Because at the moment, I think you're gonna fail too often, you know? Because like these are all failing, which makes sense because you need quite a high roll. Or do we just change the on interaction? If we say minimum fair roll rather than being 5 is 3, does that change things? Does this increase our odds of succeeding? I mean, because right now I'm not succeeding any of this shit. How many times would it take me to get 20 points out of this dice roll? True. Okay, so three tries. Which makes sense because it's a 33% chance, right? Minimum. Right? Is that what I set it as? Oh. Dice. I think I should simplify it to a percentage chance. Rather than the using like minimum rolls and making it very dice heavy. I think if I just change it to a percentage chance, maybe just between 0 and 1, and then use that to and then just choose how many dice are fun to roll. We can just set it up so if your percent gets below like 1% or whatever, then it starts making more dice. Maybe it only spawns the number of dice that makes sense for the percentage chance. Let's say I want a 10% chance of success. It'll spawn however many dice it needs to make that number work. Or the closest number. I think more thought needs to be put into this because I think it's going to feel bad. I think people are going to fail too often. Because I think it's more fun having a few dice. Because I think just one dice. Maybe we set the default to 2 dice. So you never have less than 2 dice to roll. And then we just do a percentage chance. And if the percent gets too small for 2 dice to actually figure it out, let's ask ChatGPT. So if I have 2 dice, what's the chance of double 6s? So that's already down to a 2.7% chance. With 2 dice, you have so many options. I think we should just make it 2 dice. And maybe even implement a drag to throw. And implement the hitting functionality. I think if those things were all in, the game would be more fun. I think if you had 2 dice and they were always persistent, so this one landed and it was a 1, you could then try and flip this one into it, so hit it. And there's like, that's a skill expression then, which is quite fun. It's a lot harder to program, I will admit, but I think it'll be worth the effort in terms of the fun. What do I think? Ah, ah, it's gonna be hard. That's gonna be. I'm just thinking through the system, and like it's already making it feel too complicated. Like, is that actually fun, or should I just have two dice that roll instantly? Is that just better? And if I really want something that's more than, what about three? No. What about three dice? Yeah, because as soon as you have three dice, 0.4% chance, like 1 in 216, that starts becoming a fun, ridiculous thing without being too ridiculous. So I think that's the way I'll do it. Is just have two dice, create a percentage threshold. So, let's say we have two dice. We have a third dice over here, and so most interactions are two dice, and we have a number, which is let's say 50%. With two dice, what's the 50% chance total sum of the dice? So 7. Close to 50% chance is possible. 7 plus or 8 plus. I guess you don't really have a 50% chance system with dice. Probability is a weird thing. So if I had a thing that said 50% chance, it would have to pass a it would have to roll a number that is higher than 50%, which is the first one would be 7. But most things I would want higher than that. So, like, easier than that. Like, most things should require a roll that is easier than that. Like, most decisions, if you're using, like, a weapon to attack someone, if you're using a spoon to attack a guard, it should drop to, like, like a 20% chance of succeeding. It shouldn't be that low, you know? And, like, some items will go up to, like, a 100% chance. What's the percentage difference between each cumulative value change for 2 dice versus 3 dice? So 2d6 outcomes. So the minimum is 3 and the maximum is that. So you have a perfect 50% chance maybe 3 dice is the best thing because you have a perfect 50-50 and you have some granularity. I think maybe 3 dice is the right number. And for the moment, we'll keep the individual throwing. So we'll change it to always having 3 dice. And then 50% chance is going to be, what was the number? 50% chance is a 10. So you've got 3 dice, there's a 50% chance you can get 10. That's quite a nice round number. I actually like that. Good. Okay, our base systems are coming on nicely. I think I've had some good updates in my design thoughts from doing this, and the iterative game design process is working beautifully. Happy days. But I'm going to call it there. It's 4:30. I got to go do some house chores and go with my life. But thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow, where we'll hopefully implement this change of the 3 dice and get the other bits around the UI correctly locking and unlocking and making sure you can't re-roll and make sure you can't do certain other things. So it's not limiting the player, so that a player that isn't me pressing the perfect buttons, it will work. So make sure to subscribe if you're not, and I will see you in the next one.